Okay, so we all attended and I have to use the proper term here, London film. See, I've got it wrong already.
Useless.
The London Film and Comic Convention, or the LFCC.
Yeah. Or London Film and Comic Con. You can say that. That's allowed as well.
Rolls off the tongue, Amy, doesn't it?
London Film and Comic Con.
Yeah. Let's just call it something else.
So we were at the event on Friday. We had press passes because we're that special. I don't know what that means about us. But anyway, so between all four of us went, including Carl, but between the four of us, there were variations of what we knew or expected or was going to see. So for Gerry, I think you were the biggest fish out of water here.
Oh, I was so out of it. You know what? Anything that I thought I was cool for, anything like playing sports or, I don't know, trying to chat up ladies, if I'd have tried anything I normally would fall back on, everyone would have just looked and thought, what's this weirdo up to? I was so far out of my comfort zone. But that was good because it was good to represent that area of society, I think. There.
Well, I was roaming around with the camera and I caught a few moments of Gerry just looking out into the sea of cosplay characters and whatnot, just like, what on earth is going on?
Yeah, well, from a stranger's perspective, it wasn't that it was something I didn't understand. Like the comic stuff I actually really like.
Yeah.
I'm always talking to you, Danny, in the office, aren't I, about...
about comic-y type stuff that you don't understand but would be interested in learning more about.
Exactly, yeah. And it's the actual dressing up and not being able to see people's faces. It makes me nervous in public places. And so, what was my quote? When a Ghostbuster looked at an avatar and looked him up and down and went, ooh, nice. I just thought, what is going on?
That was my favourite moment. Just looking at you in utter confusion. The whole thing, it was just like, he's just literally complimented the guy on his costume, and you're like, what is going on?
But then I tried to explain to you, didn't I, Danny? I was going, Danny, this thing just happened over there, man. And it turns out after like 5 minutes of scrambling, Danny went, yeah, I saw it. It was the Ghostbuster, wasn't it? And I was like, oh, you saw it too? Oh, okay, it wasn't that weird. But you know what? I loved it. I loved seeing a different world because it was like going to a different sport. Say I went to an American convention on gridiron or the NFL.
Yeah.
And you understand it's really big and really powerful and people love it. That's what I felt like there. I just didn't know the sport.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great.
Well, from one end of the spectrum right the way through to the other end with our Happy Geek, who obviously knows a lot more about the idea of it. What were your thoughts going into it?
Well, I sort of knew what to expect because I was at it at the previous year as well. What I did expect was huge crowds, which we got. So it pretty much met my expectations in a lot of ways. But yeah, huge crowds, lots of stalls. Although in saying that, I expected a bit more from the celebrities themselves. So I expected a bit more from the talks and things. And like on the Friday, which was the first day, there was barely any interesting talks going on. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a waste.
So we went on the Friday because that was when the
press conference was.
The press conference was. But you did go on another day as well.
I went on the Sunday as well, and that was when it was properly jam-packed. And it was a lot better organised, it seemed, as well, because on the Friday there was a lot of people scrambling. Like, whenever we were trying to get in, for example, we had to... Or we were told we had to stand in line, even though I showed up early to grab the press passes, which are essentially your tickets into the event. And the lady was like, no, you have to queue up. And we're like, no, but we're press. We've got our passes already. She's like, no, you have to queue up. And then
the queue was insane.
Yeah.
As well. And then the queue that we were told to get into.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It's going around this gigantic building, like all the way around, and we're like, nah, this ain't happening. But then the lady came up behind us, oh, sorry, you can go in this door now, apparently. And we're like, oh, you silly lady. But it's like that whole thing. It sort of, it didn't start us off in the greatest light. Like, it made you think about, oh, well, this isn't very well organised from the outset.
Yeah, that's true, actually, isn't it? I mean, it's as strange as it is to put an event together. your first impressions will last.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get in well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you try not to be frustrated and get a little bit antsy, but you do, no matter what it is.
Like, I know it's kind of mean of us to say that, because there are plenty of people that had to sit in that queue.
Exactly.
And they were waiting there from probably 9 o'clock that morning, but we were just able to amble up at, say, 11. Like, I showed up at 11 o'clock to collect the press pass, and then at 1 o'clock we just pretty much sauntered on in, going, hey, bye guys.
Yeah.
See you in there.
Yeah.
Danny was pretty impressed with the fact that we could just walk straight in. And then when that whole situation happened with the idea that we might have to queue up, he was like, because he said to me actually before you got here, he said, oh, there's gonna be karma for me gloating about this. And then there almost was. There's like a little bit of karma, like, know your place, Danielson.
Yeah.
Well, he dressed up as the Hulk outside, didn't he? Because he was raging at one stage when he thought he had to line up.
Oh.
It was a great day because I think you just do so many different things. That's one thing it brings to the party, isn't it?
Yeah. I do enjoy going in and first seeing all the merchandise and all that sort of stuff. I would have preferred a few more things to do. Like, your favourite thing was that you kept talking about all up until even now was the fact that we could have this picture taken.
Yes, I was going to talk about the picture because we talked about the fact that obviously having that experience of the whole queuing situation and the disarray and the organisation of where we were supposed to go in, and that being a lasting impression. But the very next thing that we did when we got in there was take this picture with the guys at Sci-Fi, the TV channel, and they had one of these 360-degree picture booths. So there's cameras set up all the way around in a circle, and they all gets taken at the same time and spliced together to make a 3D image.
It's effectively, for me as the newbie on these types of things, it was effectively getting an image like it does on the Matrix when
when Trinity jumps up and kicks that guy in the face,
and the camera spins around, spins around, and then she carries on kicking him in the face. So I felt really cool.
Yeah, that was quite fun. Although I didn't like that my beer belly was hanging out.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one who doesn't have their stomach on show, which is probably the worst thing, because if anything, out of the three of you guys...
Well, I had mine on show on purpose.
Yeah,
me
too.
So what we decided to do was all attack Gerry for this image. We were given the option of some props. So Danny got some Hulk hands.
Obviously.
I took a chainsaw. I just eyed that up. But I did also kind of want to put the wings on as well. There were a set of wings and a chainsaw. Yeah. That's cool. It's like the angel of death.
And if you're wondering what I had to defend myself, I was given a cap.
From Back to the Future.
It was a Back to the Future.
I know, but I'm trying to ham it up. No defense.
It kind of did look like that we were probably bullying you then, because it was like, I've got no weapons. And Cart had a bow and arrow set, which he wasn't actually using. It looked like he was just trying to stab you with the arrow.
To be fair, he was a close range, so that makes sense in a way, I guess.
I think it's obvious that I was actually the bully victim of the day.
Yeah, and you deserved it.
Yeah.
Because to be perfectly honest, if this was any sort of sporting event, you would be like King Cock right there, just like, I know all of this stuff.
Well, I am. I'm very, very competitive, and I just knew I was on the losing side of anything that day. And I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I do remember, though, whenever it was me and you just standing around, like, I just saw you staring at things, going, what is going on? So I wandered over to you and was like, are you okay? Are you okay, Gerry? I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, the one moment I tapped Danny on the shoulder, Amy, and I said, look at that sign, that's quite funny. And he looked over and he went, which sign? I went, the one there with the Spider-Man mask. And it just went silent, and Danny went, you mean the Deadpool mask? and I just was like, I can't even get this right. The simple stuff. I've been talking about Deadpool for like 6 weeks with Danny.
Yeah.
Just so.
Well, I think one of the amusing things was the fact that you were constantly looking around to make sure we were about, because he didn't want to be Gerry didn't want to be stranded on his own. So it was just like, I found you. I found people. My people.
And there were times where you would just sort of be looking at things and we'd wander off without you, and I'd look back and Gerry, you'd be looking at, like, there were a couple of celebrities sitting, signing photographs and stuff, and you were just staring at them, and I just looked back and was like, the?
Yeah, I did. I became a weirdo. I'll be honest. I did notice Hodor from Game of Thrones. He got me what's it called? Starstruck.
Yeah.
Expression. And then just when I thought, no, it's all right. They're not bullying me anymore. We went for lunch.
Oh, we went for lunch.
And Carl got a full pint. Full pint, I hasten to add.
He took a couple of sips of it first.
Oh, that's nice of him. And then I wore the whole pint.
So I think what happened was he went to go take a couple of chips, and as he leant over and he's going to hate us for saying this because he said,
he didn't want it. He didn't want this.
So we're actually lucky that he's not here, and he probably won't be listening.
Well, he effectively knocked a drink, and it landed all in my groin department.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
I think that was probably the highlight of the day.
Yeah.
One thing to make me look any less cool. If there's one thing possible, it's wetting yourself. And then we had to go back into the Comic-Con.
You wet yourself at London Film and Comic-Con.
London Film and Comic-Con was possibly my worst day of all time. But the actual London Film and Comic-Con was great.
Yeah, no, I couldn't stop laughing just because the moment that it happened, you were like, oh yeah, it's in my underwear.
What I loved even more was when you got up and there was just that V shape from where your legs were parted.
Yeah. It was like a murder scene with beer. You know what? I really liked it, Danny. And obviously it's the world I'm not very good with. What would be different then, tell me, for next year? If it's for someone like me, what could you say, go again because this is what changes?
Well, I'd imagine that they will just change the celebrity guests. They'll have some sort of big Back to the Future-esque thing, because I can't remember what it was last year. I think it was... Oh, no, Stan Lee was there last year.
Oh, wow.
So that's what the whole big draw to it was last year. And don't know what they'll do next year, because if it wasn't for the Back to the Future thing, there wouldn't have been much.
I would imagine that the first thing they'll do is change the microphones.
Hopefully.
Ouch. Yeah. So, first talk of the day, they had the 30th reunion of the Back to the Future cast.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys liking that? Keep me on the straight and narrow
you're
here.
You're correct, yes.
And then, basically, we had Michael J. Fox, who would have played Marty McFly.
Yes.
Yes.
2 points out of 2.
You haven't watched the film, so I'll let you away with it. You're doing well. Go on.
And they also had Doc and... who I assume is Marty McFly's either wife/mum or something like that.
Is his mum
and his girlfriend?
No, she's not his girlfriend. She tries to get into a relationship with him back in the 50s.
Right.
Because she didn't know that he travelled back in time, because why would she?
Why would she? Well, anyway, those were the 3 characters on stage, and it was just the most awkward thing because the microphone system shut down.
Yeah. Well, it was like the radio mics that they were using. They clearly didn't know how to use them because Michael J. Fox's mic you could barely hear what he was saying, and then it was like popping constantly, so there was this noise under him speaking, so you could barely hear him already, and then the pops would make it worse, and then the audio cut out altogether, and he was in the middle of delivering like a little joke or something, so he got to the punchline, and everyone's just sitting there looking at him, and then Leah Thompson leans over and goes, "Oh, I think your mic's off." And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then at that point, she has to pull her radio mic out of her bra. And
yeah, we got a little flash of a nude bra.
Yeah.
Exciting. For me, that was probably the peak.
But Leah Thompson looks pretty good for her age, 54.
Wow,
She's looking good.
Wow.
Yeah, she was looking very good, because she was looking good even whenever she was in Back to the Future. And, well.
That's 30 years old.
Yeah, 30 years older, yeah.
Wow.
So, that was exciting.
Well, hopefully I'm going to try and salvage some of that audio footage that we did get audio from the panel of the Back to the Future. I might have to just dub over the top. So anytime that you hear Michael J. Fox talking, it'll just be me trying to do maybe try and do a Michael J. Fox impression. I don't know. We'll see. But Christopher Lloyd, he was a bit interesting, wasn't he?
Yeah, he just seemed to be out of it. Like, honestly, anytime anyone asked him a question, he just sort of went, I don't know. And
he wasn't kind of paying attention to I'm pretty sure there was a point in which he kind of just completely missed what the question was.
I think the question was something like enduring success.
Oh,
yes, yeah.
And he just could not fathom what the word enduring was, which is fair enough, because if you're not expecting a word like that, you're saying, injuring? Undering? What's he asking me?
Oh, Americans.
Yeah. I got the feeling he'd been outside by the bike sheds. Before he came in, there was a bit of smoke but going up somewhere because he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he'd been sitting, signing autographs and signing pictures or taking pictures with people and all this kind of stuff. So you can imagine him being a bit out of it with all that and having to, look at fans and stuff.
Yeah, well, because I remember afterwards we were walking past the Christopher Lloyd booth and I heard some of the staff members saying that the press thing had overrun, so he's on his way back, and so there was like a queue forming outside of his booth, but like he wasn't back yet to sign autographs.
It's hard work for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I can imagine so. In fact, actually, one of the things that I was talking to Carl about was, so they had The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's father there. I didn't know this.
Why?
Yeah. And so
he was born of these loins.
hopefully not from those loins.
Yeah. No, you get what I mean. Yeah. It used to be his mum.
Wait, we're not talking about the Jenners.
Anyway.
Where are we going with this?
I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so he was, I can't remember what his first name is, but so Carl was saying that it must be a bit disappointing to kind of be around and that no one's coming up to your table to sign stuff. And I said, well, to be perfectly honest, though, these guys are getting paid how much just to be there, let alone for the autographs that they have to sign, sort of thing. And so the smaller the queue, the less work you actually have to do. You literally just have to be there at the table. Of course, it's a little bit disappointing, bearing in mind, these are artists to some descript. And so to not have people like fans adoring you is probably somewhat disheartening.
I think I saw him. I've just searched him, Rocky Johnson.
Yeah, I was going to say Rocky, but then I was thinking maybe I'm getting confused because of the fact that his son is called The Rock. Yeah. So I wasn't quite sure if I was thinking like...
I wonder if that's why he's The Rock. Nah.
Could be.
It could be.
I don't know.
Could be.
We could have taken 10 seconds to research this, but let's not.
One thing I didn't like, though, was the fact that it does seem very exploitative, the whole paying whatever it is for certain autographs or whatever. Like, it's for Sigourney Weaver and Michael J. Fox, it was £95 for an autograph or a picture with them.
That's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for people who are genuine fans, and it is exploiting, I think,
Yeah.
Because they deserve more than that.
Yeah.
I think people who went and paid money to go through those lines deserved more than being charged £95 to meet someone who they consider a hero.
Yeah.
And is a hero to the rest of us in Hollywood terms, but these are specific to the films that they were in as well. So it's like meeting someone you've wanted to meet your whole life.
Yeah.
And you get charged for it.
But I would wonder, like, who's the one exploiting the situation? Is it the runners of the London Film and Comic Con, or is it the agents of like the stars? So for someone like Sigourney Weaver or Michael J. Fox, is it them that set or their people that set the tariff, or is it actually the organisers? Because
point.
you also have to bear in mind that if it is the organisers, perhaps it's less exploitive because of the fact that they do need to make their money back. Like this was held at the Olympia. I'm imagining that an exhibition that size is going to be very costly to hire out. Then you've also got to pay all the stars that attend, but also all the staff members as well. Then, of course, you've got the people who come in for the stalls, and so they probably charge stall owners if they want to have a stall there.
Yeah.
But all of this factors into it. Of course, if it is the stars and their people who demand this amount of money, then yes, there is a certain exploitive nature about it, because obviously these are people who have fans who have gone to see their movies, which should be their recovery costs.
Well, it's like football tickets, isn't it? I mean, they're pricing people who have made all the money and paid for tickets to go and see it at the cinema originally.
Yeah.
They're priced out of going and getting a signature from
Yeah.
from the likes of Sigourney Weaver and Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting as well that Sigourney Weaver, if you wanted to get the autograph or anything, you had to go into this like separate little room as well. So you couldn't just sort of look from the distance going, oh, it's Sigourney Weaver over there.
Wow.
Well, that was the same for Christopher Lloyd's booth as well.
It was sort of like it had a wall, but you could easily just go over to the side a bit and go, oh, there's Christopher Lloyd.
Danny
that's what I did.
We had a good peek.
Yeah.
We had a good peek.
But was there many people around at the time? Because I found that it was quite packed in that area that you couldn't actually look into the booth.
Well, I think I made the mistake of we got one angle, didn't we, where we could see what's his name, Christopher Lloyd, who played Doc. You could see him, and I was like, "Whoa, it's him!" And you were going, "Yeah, obviously that's the point of Comic-Con, London Film and Comic-Con." And then I went, "He's bald," and that got me a few stares.
He's always been bald.
I know, but I was still expecting the hair.
Yeah, well,
he has hair, but just in the same place that it was in Back to the Future 30 years ago.
No, but I expected the.
Well, he had more hair in the film.
Yeah, but like it's still like you still got that crown.
Yeah, but it was like I did that a lot, just sort of looking from the distance at the celebrities, going, "Ha ha, there's Haley Atwell."
Yeah,
and
well, I saw Hodor.
Oh yeah, I got in a lift with Hodor.
Yeah, but the way that he said it to me this morning
Go on.
was I got a lift with Hodor, right? So I thought he meant that he got in a car with him. No, he just got a lift up like one floor.
No, 2 floors actually. Gosh.
Danny makes it sound like they went for cocktails. And I stayed at Hodor's house afterwards.
Hodor.
We're not that close.
Hodor.
He didn't even say it. That's what I'm sad about. But people just kept either sort of staring at him, and he was just like trying to pretend like he's not there. But he's
massive.
Yeah, exactly.
You pointed out they had tattoos on his face, didn't you?
Yeah, because he apparently he got drunk one evening and got tattoos on his face.
Wow.
And
So where are they on his face?
Right above his right eyebrow.
So they have to make up that out.
Yep.
That's brilliant. What is Hodor's name?
Christopher Narn or something like that. I think his surname is Narn. I know that. That's pretty much all I know.
Okay, Mr. Narn, we'll call him.
Yeah, Mr. Narn.
I think slightly as I just call him Hodor because this is literally all he says. Hodor.
Yeah, it's all he is to me.
And what's funny as well, in like the books and stuff, his actual name is Walder, and no one knows why he just started saying Hodor, and people just call him Hodor.
I wonder if it's because he can't pronounce his name.
Probably because he can only say Hodor.
So is it Waldor?
Walder.
Walder.
Yeah.
So like Walder, Hodor. So like if he's if he had a speech impediment growing up or something.
Well, he's definitely got a speech impediment. He can't say anything except Hodor.
Well, I don't necessarily think that's a speech impediment, but if growing up as a kid he had a speech impediment and then so trying to pronounce his own name, it became Hodor, and now he just says Hodor.
Yeah.
Solving all the world's problems in this room today, talking from London Film and Comic-Con. So
it's interesting because do you remember, Gerry, at one point I kind of like called you over and was like, did you see this? And there was a guy who was dressed up, I think as the Joker from Arkham.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a couple of chains that he was holding on to, running down his back. And on those chains that he was holding on to were 2 women attached to them, also in these Arkham orange jumpsuits.
I feel like I should step in and say 2 attractive women who were attached via the chains to his back.
Do you know which characters they were? I assume one of them was probably Harley Quinn.
I think one of them was, but then I think one of them was actually Catwoman.
Yeah. Really? Well, yeah, I guess.
They were wearing orange jumpsuits, so I think they'd all come to visually match each other and then be linked by chains. It was a bit awkward because there was a dude running in front of them going, watch out, who wasn't with them.
Oh, actually, I just remembered. Whenever I was there on Sunday, there was this guy in a gigantic piece of armor, and he was like 7 foot tall, and people are shouting, "Get out of the way!"
Wow!
Watch your backs.
But yeah, it was interesting because of that guy that you were talking about. I think he just wanted to get a photo of them or something. So he was trying to move people out of the way because he wanted to film them walking past.
Yeah, it makes sense. It was something I didn't really understand what was going on.
Yeah,
but that's just the London Film and Comic-Con to you, though, isn't it?
In fact, yeah. You know, when you browse, Danny, and you go along, and you're looking at the likes of T-shirts and masks and memorabilia that you can actually wear.
Yeah.
Not so much for cosplay, but wearing.
Yeah.
Would the same stuff be there next year? How much stuff do you expect to be new again?
Probably, like, if there's lots of new games or comic books or whatever, there'll be a lot of stuff to do with that, and there'll be new cosplays as well, because as soon as a new game or something or a comic book comes out, people automatically start creating those costumes to be the same, or, you know, start get into the cosplay just before everyone else, before it becomes Harley Quinn, because now everyone, like nearly every other woman that we saw in there was a Harley Quinn.
Yeah, everyone dresses up in the same way. So you're saying there is a chance to try and be the original one for next year.
But the interesting thing, of course, wasn't the fact that there were a lot of Harley Quinns, because I think that just happens a lot in general, but there were people who were dressing up as the Margot Robbie version of Harley Quinn now that the images have been released for Suicide Squad. So I thought that was interesting that people had started to...
They're beating the movie out.
That happens a lot as well. Automatically, as soon as there's an image released that kind of looks like you kind of see what the costume's going to look like, people automatically will just look at those pictures and then make their costume just straight away as quickly as possible.
I have to ask you this. Minions, do they belong there or not? London Film and Comic Con surprised me by having Minion posters, Minion toys and things.
Well, it's called London Film and Comic Con.
I know. I didn't know that overlapped, because
it's a film.
Listen, because Minions are in mainstream things now, I suppose. You know, in mainstream society, you see them all the time, don't you?
Minions are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They've exploded.
So I didn't expect them to still be there. I thought the way comic fans got together and they kind of kicked out things that were mainstream. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, Back to the Future was there. Back to the Future is
and Batman was there, so that's the ultimate.
I think the thing with Minions is that you're talking nonsense. Yes, correct. But also because of the fact that it's a very, Asians love them, and obviously there's a huge comic book society in Asia, especially with like anime, things like that. So. And then that overlaps into Western culture, because then you get a lot of Westerners who love anime and love the whole Japanese culture, things like that. So there's a whole cross-section of people where we give you something, you give us something, and it's just a whole melting pot of different tastes within this counterculture world.
But Minions seem to cross all of those boundaries, don't they? Everyone loves them.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. I'm not overly fond of them.
I knew you wouldn't be. That's kind of where I was going with this.
Yeah, because, you know me, I'm very cynical all of the time. But yeah, as well, the merchandise this year, there seemed to be less of it. I don't know, I could be wrong, I probably am, but it seemed like we were just seeing the same stalls over and over again. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did actually. You know, similar stuff was being sold at too many places, but I suppose it's just competition, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and there weren't as many comic books as you'd expect.
That was what really surprised me.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that there wasn't a lot of comic books, and there wasn't a lot of independent comic books either.
Yeah. One of the other things as well I wanted to mention about the talks themselves is I think that having the actors being the ones that do the talking is pointless. Like me personally, I would much prefer if it was the writers or the directors or whatever, but the actors to me aren't as important as those people, or at least in terms of, if you're going there because of that film, I think that the writers, directors, whatever, are the more interesting people to hear from.
But I think that's because you work in media, though, and so you have that element of understanding. But ultimately, for the layman, if you're the everyday moviegoer or whatever, the films are sold based on stars, and so that's what the majority of people and who the majority of people want to see is the stars. Yes, it would be very interesting to find out what the development process for Robert Zemeckis to create Back to the Future, but people want to see Michael J. Fox because Michael J. Fox is Back to the Future.
Yeah, true. He is the face of the film, I guess. But still, they could have had somebody. Just somebody.
Well, the knowledge is big, isn't it? With the people who go, you expect more knowledge from them. I get what you're saying, Danny, because you want the creative side, don't you? Who came up with the concept and why? I mean, actors in that sense, actors are just sellouts.
Yeah,
they'll do what they want for money.
Yeah. What was interesting though was, like you said, a lot of people go into this knowing a lot of background stuff anyway. Like whenever I went to it on Sunday, and I went to the public Back to the Future reunion talk thing, they had the full cast there rather than just the 3 main cast that was there for the press conference. And there was an interesting little bit when somehow Doctor Who came up, and one of the bit part actors said, "Oh, did you know that originally the TARDIS was going to be a refrigerator?" And everyone was like, "Yes."
Wow.
And she went, "Oh, well, of course you all knew that. What am I talking about? I'm here at filming Comic-Con." And then she said, "Well, did you know that the time machine, it used to be a Mustang and then became a DeLorean?" And everyone was like, "Ooh."
Wow, yeah, so all of a sudden you learn something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Although I don't know how true that is, because she seemed a bit out of it as well.
No, I think I've heard something similar to that the DeLorean wasn't the first choice for the time machine. But again, so you can get interesting things out of cast members. I just think that, like, I completely understand where you're coming from in terms of wanting to know that the side of sort of pre-production and how this film actually came to be. But I think that the biggest selling point of the film itself, but also of a kind of any kind of convention that has people coming to an event of some descript, is the stars in the film.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone's getting defensive about film there, Danny.
They don't call me the girl on film for nothing.
Well, you call you the girl on film. We just call you that because you say it.
Yeah, you don't want to know what we call you.
But one last thing I will say as well. I think the biggest and best part about going to the likes of London Film and Comic-Con is going along with, like, friends. Because if it was just me going to that on both the Friday and the Sunday, I would not have enjoyed it half as much as I would have, whenever you guys were there, and I took a friend with me on the Sunday as well. So it's definitely something I think you have to go along with other people to.
I think Danny just called us all friends.
I know.
Oh, Danny.
And on that beautiful, beautiful note from our happy geek,
I hate you all.